Chapter 12, Cultivating Resonant Power. Li Luo walked down to the deepest level of the library pavilion, using a drop of his blood to open the heavy door crafted from a special refined iron. Beyond the door lay a brightly lit cultivation chamber. This was no ordinary chamber, its structure was entirely forged from pure heavenly gold, a rare ore buried deep within the earth, formed only after countless years of refinement by the world's energies. Thus, heavenly gold was not only used as a hard currency but, due to its exceptional ability to absorb worldly energy, cultivation chambers built from it were standard among the top-tier powers. How extravagant! Li Luo lightly stomped on the sturdy floor, clicking his tongue in admiration. As far as he knew, his father and mother had spent hundreds of thousands of taels of heavenly gold to construct this chamber, allowing cultivation here to yield twice the results with half the effort. In the past, only the two of them and Zhang Qingyi had cultivated here, and this was Li Luo's first time stepping into it. This was a true house of gold. But, he had to admit, you get what you pay for. This heavenly gold was worth every coin, for just by standing here, Li Luo could clearly feel that the worldly energy was far denser here than outside. Amidst his sighs, Li Luo walked to the center of the chamber, where there were two stone platforms, each with a meditation cushion. These were clearly used by his parents during their past cultivation sessions. Li Luo casually sat cross-legged on one of the cushions, holding a crystal slip in his hand. Closing his eyes, he began silently reciting the cultivation incantations recorded in the Kanglan visualization diagram. At the same time, his breathing followed the rhythm prescribed by the diagram. 6 exhales, 3 inhales, 9 light, 4 heavy. The rhythm continued to shift endlessly. As expected, his initial attempts ended in repeated failures, but very soon, Li Luo's exceptional talent began to show its worth. He quickly grasped the key points of the Kanglan visualization diagram and began to enter a steady state. Seated on the cushion, Li Luo's eyes were closed, his mind focused, and gradually, he seemed to hear the sound of ocean waves flowing past his ears. Then, he began to sense the worldly energies around him starting to stir. Among these energies, water energy was the most abundant, intermingled with traces of light energy. These energies, through the opening and closing of Li Luo's pores and the rhythm of his breath, slowly flowed into his body. The water energy was gentle and nourishing, while the light energy was pure and clean. These two streams of energy joyfully coursed through Li Luo's body, gradually revitalizing his frame, which had been weakened due to his previously depleted qi and blood. After circulating through his body, the two energies eventually converged within his resonance palace, which shimmered with a blue light, transforming into his resonant power. As the resonant power within his palace steadily increased, Li Luo gradually became fully immersed, throwing himself wholeheartedly into this hard-won cultivation. Time passed unknowingly, and before he knew it, half a day had gone by. When Li Luo was finally jolted out of his cultivation, the first thing he noticed was a faint stinging sensation inside his body. This was a reminder from within that he had reached his limit for the day. Using a guiding technique to absorb worldly energies would place a strain on one's meridians, and it was said that the lower the grade of the guiding technique, the greater the strain. Once the limit was reached, cultivation would have to cease temporarily until the body had rested before one could continue. Currently, Li Luo was in this exact state. This sudden interruption left Li Luo somewhat unsatisfied, but there was nothing he could do. After all, the Kanglan visualization diagram he was practicing was only a general tier technique, and being able to cultivate for this long was already its limit. This alone demonstrated the critical importance of a high-tier guiding technique for cultivating resonant power. If one could start cultivating with a high-grade guiding technique, over the years, the accumulated advantage would leave others far behind. Unfortunately, high-tier guiding techniques were not only rare and precious but also had harsh requirements for cultivation. The most basic was the grade of 1s resonance, which blocked the majority of cultivators, including Li Luo at present. In the Luo Lan house, there were indeed marquee-tier guiding techniques, but as far as he knew, they required at least a grade 7 resonance. But fortunately, the Kanglan visualization diagram was only a temporary choice for Li Luo. Once he improved the grade of his resonance, he would naturally switch to a higher-tier guiding technique. From this perspective, it was clear that improving the grade of his resonance as quickly as possible was crucial. Li Luo sighed softly, then stretched out his hand, watching as a stream of blue resonant power slowly emerged in his palm. This was the resonant power he had cultivated. Water resonance power, with traces of light resonance power within. The fusion of these two resonances made the power purer than ordinary water resonance alone. My resonant power should have reached the third seal level, Li Luo murmured to himself. Previously, though Li Luo's cultivation had been slow due to his empty resonance, he hadn't been without any foundation. Thus, after this cultivation session, his resonant power stabilized directly at the third seal level. At this current cultivation speed, Li Luo was confident he could reach the fifth seal within a week. Although a grade 4 resonance wasn't considered high, Li Luo, as the young master of Luo Lan House, had access to vast cultivation resources. He believed his progress would surpass many in the academy, including some of the top students in the first school. But this still isn't enough. Li Luo muttered to himself, for the academy entrance examinations were just a month away, and his goal was to enter the St. Qian Star Academy. The entrance requirements for the kingdom's most prestigious academy were extremely demanding. Each year, countless youths who prided themselves on their excellence would ultimately be turned away at the high gates of St. Qian Star Academy, regardless of how hard they tried. Thus, if Li Luo wanted to catch up, his current pace was still insufficient. In the end, I still need to improve the grade of my resonance. Grade 4 is just too low for me. Li Luo fell into deep thought, then immediately stood up and left the cultivation chamber. As he stepped out of the library pavilion, someone who had been waiting approached him respectfully and said, "Young master, Steward Cai asked me to remind you that the items you requested have been delivered to your room." Hearing this, Li Luo couldn't help but admire Steward Cai's efficiency. As Zhang Qingyi's capable assistant, she was indeed excellent at handling matters. He had expected to receive the goods at the earliest by tomorrow. Waving off the messenger, he returned straight to his room. The moment he entered, he saw a delicate sandalwood box placed on the table, opened to reveal dozens of crystal-clear vials neatly lined up. Curious, Li Luo picked up 2 vials at random. In one, a blue liquid swirled, so clear that it felt as though the gentle sound of a stream could be heard with each slight movement. The other vial was even more peculiar, containing what appeared to be strands of flowing light, like threads or wisps of smoke that occasionally flickered. Though one was liquid and the other was flowing light, both emitted a pure, clean aura. So this is spirit water and wondrous light. Li Luo clicked his tongue in wonder. Only cultivators possessing water and light resonances could refine these items, which, like pills, were indispensable aids for countless cultivators throughout their lives. Li Luo turned the vials and saw the label attached. Blue Crystal Spirit Water, Grade 4, Purity, 58%. Blue Crystal Spirit Water was a fairly common Grade 4 spirit water formula on the market, and this purity referred to the portion of the spirit water that could actually pass through the natural repulsion of the resonance palace during absorption and exert its refining effects. In simpler terms, the purer the spirit water and wondrous light, the higher the purity, and the better the results. A purity of 58% meant that 42% of the spirit water would be rejected during use, essentially wasted. However, achieving 58% purity was already considered qualified, as most grade 4 spirit water on the market hovered around 56%. Anything exceeding this would be considered top quality, with prices skyrocketing accordingly. After all, for many, the improvement of resonance grades had its limits, and higher quality spirit water and wondrous light contained fewer impurities, allowing the resonance palace to resist closure due to impurity corrosion for a longer time. Li Luo smiled as he looked at these crystal clear vials. It was at this moment that his innate empty resonance finally displayed its true worth. While others had to be cautious with spirit water usage, fearing the buildup of impurities that would hasten the closure of their resonance palaces, he had no such concern. His empty resonance allowed him to use them without restraint. So, let us see what happens if I absorb all 50 of these vials and see just how much my grade 4 resonance can improve. At this thought, Li Luo's heartbeat quickened in anticipation. Day by day, the manuscript stockpile shrinks. How depressing. End of